Boy, oh boy. These Cleveland Browns be playing around for 4, 5, 6, 10 quarters in a row, and then they pull it out. I got a slow round of applause. So I got some game balls we need to give out quickly. Shout out to the defense. Shout out to the defense. What a ball game. What a called football game from Jim Schwartz. Kool-Aid going to Jim Schwartz in the defense. Put the glasses up. Let's get it going. Game ball. My boy Schmidt, I'm happy for you, bro. You saw what the thumbnails is. You know we was not playing around with you a couple of weeks ago. It could look bad for you, but you showed up. The Cleveland Browns, welcome on in, pull off the impossible comeback. We will talk about this game, boy. Listen, I was tweeting like crazy for the first 5 or 6 hours or 5 or 6 minutes of this football game. And it looked like there was no way around it. The Cleveland Browns is going to find a way, another way to take an L. But I'm going to show you what Grant Delpit in the defense, Myles Garrett in that defense, Denzel Ward with a block. We're going to talk about it all. We are going to talk about it all right here on the post-game show on the Barbershop. We got to get to a lot of stuff, too. And by the way, we will talk about Joe Flacco. We will get to that, too. We'll do it all coming up on this episode of the Browns post-game show. Browns celebrating that Kool-Aid 13-10 with a last-second field goal. Boy, it's good to get a dub. We'll talk about it right here on the show. Come on in wherever you're at, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Instagram, whether it's YouTube on the Barbershop channel. The Cleveland Browns pull out a crazy victory, 13-10, last-second field goal by Mr. Schmidt himself. And the Cleveland Browns, when in a game where they couldn't score points, they couldn't get nothing done. Their offense looked like dog, you know what? But the Cleveland Browns found a way to get it done, and we got to break this down by the numbers as the only way we could. Let me tell you this, man. First and foremost, I'm going to say this before we get to anything, how I do in the barbershop. I got to give you both sides of the coin. I got to give it to you when it's upsetting. I also got to tell you when you do well, and I also got to put it in terms, and this is a keep it real zone over here. So let me tell you something, how the post-game show going to go. I'm going to give you the ups. I'm going to give you the downs. I'm going to give you the analysis. But first and foremost, as I end every single one of my blogs, what did I say? It don't matter if I get on here 2 hours in advance and kill the Cleveland Browns for 2 hours. I always say it's go Browns, because at the end of the day, that's what it's about. It is doggone tough to get a win in this league. It is painfully tough to get a win in this league. And when you got guys that's going out there busting their butts, busting their tails to try to get something done, you're going to have to realize that you got to give that full attention to that. The Cleveland Browns could have folded up, and the defense could have folded up in this game twice, 3, 4 times they could have folded up. And it's so difficult to go out here and get wins, but the defense, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's get them up and ready to go. There's a couple of things we want to highlight and get to. First and foremost, this defensive line. Defensive line. I tweeted earlier, right? I tweeted, if the Cleveland Browns mess around, and that's a bad job out of me. That's a bad job out of me. I should have had my tweet ready to go, but you take my word for it. I tweeted earlier in the game. If the Cleveland Browns mess up this defensive performance, they're going to have some questions to answer for. Again, Malik Collins was dominant inside. Multiple sacks. Carson Schlesinger was running people down all over the field. I thought Carson Schlesinger was the sack at the end of this was pivotal. The sack that he had on Jordan Love at the end of the game, it was going into the fourth quarter. That was huge. I was expecting Jordan Love to take that to the fourth quarter, right? They were kind of out of whack. And shout out to the crowd for the most part, too. The Packers were out of sorts. How many times did they have to take timeouts? How many times did they not have the timing down correctly in the snap process where they had penalties that kind of pushed them back and got them out of certain things? I thought the fans did a great job, but the Cleveland Browns defense, man, it's on the level that it was back in 2023. And I'm going to give Jim Shores credit. These guys are moving around. And Isaiah McGuire was in the backfield. He had a couple plays where I need to go back and tape and see what's going on with the read option stuff. We're going to check that out and see what's going on with that. Myles Garrett obviously was taking up 3-4 double teams. Mason Graham didn't have enough in terms of on the paper. You don't see his name in the press in the clippings too much because he didn't get home like Collins, but he was pressing the pocket. He was doing some things up front. They completely were stopping the run. Josh Jacobs and those dudes over there, they nice. Josh Jacobs, I like him as a running back, but for the most part, he did his numbers in between the 20s and didn't do too much when he got into the red zone. So that defensive effort was magnificent. And in the play of the game, where you got a situation where Grant Delpit picks the ball off, and this is big. Not only did he pick the rock off, he ran it down inside the 10-yard line to get him in a position where it was an easier score. That's the thing that you talk about all the time when you looking at defenses, and you watch them all season, right? Watch how the defense has been, conglomerating on the sidelines. Watch how the defense is on those sidelines looking around like at each other like, look, we know what it is. The offense ain't going to give us nothing, but we can't be out here crying. Offense is not going to show up today. Here's what we need to do. We need to play for each other. Grant Delpit picks the ball off, runs down the sideline, and then puts himself in a position where now the offense can do something. We'll get to the offense here in a second, but the offense can do something, right? Put it in position to where now you make a play that is easier for your game changers and your playmakers to do something as well. So I thought that was the play of the game. Jordan Love throws the football, and it looked like a miscommunication, or Grant Delpit made a great play. He just jumped the heck out of that route, got up, moved down, and put himself in field goal position to get a touchdown. Next key part of the game that I thought was super dope. Besides the defense, let's talk about this guy. Quinshon Judkins. This dude also gets a game ball. The way Quinshon, see, this is the level. See, this is what I'm talking about. There is levels to it, right? There's guys and then there's other dudes. Quinshon Judkins is one of them dudes. Played at Ole Miss, played at Ohio State. He's played in big time games. And the run that put him in field goal territory was crazy. He gets the ball, makes a guy miss in the hole, and that's what you're going to need to do. When you're playing, if you see this picture right here, you playing with all backups. You got 2 backup tackles, and so as a running back, your goal is to make a guy miss. He makes a guy miss, and he gets down inside the red zone. Those type of plays are the plays that you need to be made when you don't have other people around you. You need dudes like that. Harold Fannin Jr., I thought he played a really nice game. He caught the ball, refused to go down. That's what I need to see. That's what we need to see is dogs. I'm not talking about kittens, dogs. Now think about this. Judkins played his tail off. Schlesinger balled out. I thought Harold Fannin Jr. showed up, right? I thought Mason Graham was part of that wrecking crew up front. I'm looking at the situation where you got your young guys now playing. The youth movement is going well. You got the youth movement working. And let me just tell y'all something and show you how this works. I done been on teams, right? The Cleveland Browns are traditionally, with their veterans, have not seen a lot of wins and has had a lot of competent play, has not seen the dividends and the successfulness of playing. The added bonus of playing young guys is because they too dumb and too young to understand that they ain't supposed to have certain expectations. Judkins don't see, he's got removed. He just came from the national championship. All that talk about losing and taking L's for a whole year, he ain't trying to hear that, because he's closer to winning the national championship than the rest of the people in the roster have been closer to winning anything. So when he get the rock, he like, I've been great my whole life. This is just what I do. Let's work. Carson Schwetzinger, these guys come from big programs. You're like, bro, I was a walk-on. You think I'm intimidated? Intimidating is have to pay that money to go to school. Intimidating is being on scout team and knowing you better, but good enough to play. Then when he got that taste of playing, he's like, I ain't never letting this go. So you gotta see how hey, Harold Fannin Jr., he right from down the street. He right from Canton, Ohio. So he like, I'm playing for my people. I'm playing for myself. I'm playing for Bowling Green. We don't be losing like that. What you talking about? We don't lose like that. And so when you get them rookies and young dudes in there and them young pups surrounded by some veterans that's tired of it, you can have things like this. See what I'm saying? Everybody's sitting around acting like if you playing young guys, it's an L. No, you won this game because of young guys. You did not win this game because of no veterans. You won this because of young guys and your star players. Grant Delpit making plays. Denzel Ward coming off the end, blocking it. What a tremendous effort. Tremendous, your best player on special teams. I told him I ain't giving Bubba Ventrone no credit for that. That's Denzel Ward jumping off the porch. Giving you no credit, Bubba. You don't get credit for that. That's Denzel Ward flying through the air like this. Block. Greg Newsome picking it up, putting you back in contention to get right where you was at. Now you don't need too much. All you need is your players to make a little completion and now give people an opportunity. And by the way, when you talk about opportunities, we got to talk about it. I don't care who you are and what you say. It ain't nothing like seeing the joy on somebody's face when they was coming back from nothing. This kid right here, we was trying to get him up out of here. Bye. I was mad as heck after he missed them field goals that first 2 weeks. But if you listen to the Barbershop and you listen to me all the time, I always say, it's about what you gonna do about it. It ain't about like, no, hey, hey, you said this about, no. You know how you can shut everybody up? Make 55-yard kicks from the logo to win the game. This is why you play the football games. This is why this is a life lesson. This is why it's a great opportunity. Because it don't matter what you did 2 weeks ago. You're only good as your last kick. And to see his face as a young man be excited about kicking that ball through the goalpost and putting it on his back that his team can win this football game was beautiful. It was beautiful. Now you see. Now, mind you, you see what the theme is. Your rookie kicker came up big, 55 yards. Your rookie tight end said, y'all don't want to catch the ball, throw it to me. Quinshon Judkins said, when we couldn't move the ball, nah, just give me the rock. I got it. When you going with youth, it don't necessarily mean you trying to lose nothing. Give me that energy. Give me that youthful exuberance. Give me that, I don't give a you know what about what y'all talking about. Let's go get it done. 4 rookies doing what they needed to do. And it brings me to my thesis of what we're doing right now. The Cleveland Browns got a defense, and all of a sudden now that Judkins is getting back into the mix, in a running game. If you got a defense in a running game, you can put yourself in a situation, in a position to win football games. The only thing that they are lacking at this point, moving forward, is not a juggernaut offense, not a above average offense. We talking not a good offense. All Cleveland Browns need is a regular pedestrian run-of-the-mill offense and quarterback play. That's it. But the problem is, at this point, they are getting below average. They're not even getting below average. They're not even getting poor. They're getting bad QB play. And see, here's the thing that you can do, and I always challenge people to think a little bit deeper in a lot of things. This game opened my eyes to something, and it opened my eyes to a lot of things that a lot of people are skimming over. The Cleveland Browns won a game with getting nothing offensively, and the defense just took the game and said, we won. You know how good you got to be to do something like that? You know how good you got to be for you to have a defense say, nope, we've decided it doesn't matter what you're going to do over there. We're going to win the football game. That's special. That's special. And when you got a defense like that, give them help. Trust in them. Trust in them. If you communicate well enough and you talk to them, you go and say, listen, right now, we feel y'all is one of the best defense, if not the best defense in the league. We don't feel at this point Joe Flacco gives us the best opportunity to win football games and move the ball down the field. We actually believe we're a little better going with youthful guys, because at least if we put some youthful guys out there and we game plan it up and we move the pocket a little bit and do some other things that Joe can't do, it gives us an opportunity to accentuate Quinshon Judkins more. It gives us an opportunity to take a little pressure off our offensive line. They don't have to be perfect because we got a statue back there. And we may have to punt a lot and we may have to kick field goals, but we're going to trust in y'all because we feel like y'all got one of the best defenses in the league and you got the best player moving right now. Right now, Myles Garrett is the best player in the league. No disrespect to any quarterback. You got the best football player in the league. I saw 3 people trying to check him today. Couldn't do it. And the rest of them is eating. It's no knock against Joe Flacco. And I'm not being a Debbie Downer because, trust me, winning is I'm the one who said, no, I'm not trying to tank for no reason. No, I don't care about your 2026 or no domes. So I'm not the tank guy. The thing I disagree with is the premise that Joe gives you the best chance to win football games. I just don't believe that after seeing this football game. And it's hard-pressed to say so. Missed a wide-open dude on a flea flicker. Wide-open Isaiah Bond was there. Lots of overthrown football, overthrown guys. And the reality of the situation is I'm advocating you put more. I'm advocating the Cleveland Browns could actually put more on the board than what they're doing now. And that's what a dominant defense. Sometimes you got to look at what's in front of you, not behind you. And guess what? This game shows you. Think about this. This game shows you just how close NFL games are and just how close teams are. These games happen in the margins. Like, we just beat one of the teams. We beat one of the teams was moving around, put 50 points on people. They just beat the Commanders and the Lions. Put 50 points up. They couldn't even move the rock. How many times they got a whole, listen, think about this. How many times did you watch that football game and they mentioned this? G. Bush, they got a whole sheet of plays, a section of plays that says we can't run if Myles Garrett is on the field. What kind of sorcery? What kind of sorcery is that? What kind of game plan is that? Huh? That you so nice that they can't even run certain plays. Nah, we can't run that. Myles Garrett is on the field. You see what Denzel Ward is about? What a like that block field goal was crazy. That block field goal was crazy. So at this point, I'm looking around like this. I know you guys want to, and by the way, we already know what Kevin gonna say. I haven't heard the press conference, but we was on UC. I already know what Kevin gonna say with it. Joe Flacco's the starting quarterback. That's what he's gonna say. Now, the thought process is, see, Bush, but you're being negative because we won. No, I'm not. I'm actually being positive. I'm saying you done got you a game that nobody thought you was gonna get. Your defense is playing lights out. Your young players are balling. The same level of respect and the same level of development that you put in them younger guys, it's time to develop at quarterback. You got games in front of you that are winnable. You got games. We should have won the first game. We should have won the first game. To me, I look at this, the skill set is diminished. I don't know what he's looking at sometimes. And as I'm tweeting and checking and doing certain things, it looks like he does not have a willingness to throw the ball downfield. Now, you can have two things at once happen in your life. You can be extremely excited for the Cleveland Browns because you root for the Browns and you do Browns content when they win football games, because we won all of 3 of them last year. I've been through 1 in 31. You don't have to tell me how excited you should be that you got to win against a team nobody thought you was going to win against. I'm ecstatic about that. But here's also one thing that you can do. You could do 2 things at once. You could say, I'm super excited for this win, but how do we get better? I'm super excited about this win, and I think that the defense is playing at an all-time great level at this point. My young guys is taking on new responsibilities and showing dividends. How can I get better? And I truly believe you can get better if you had better quarterback play. You won a game today where offense was non-existent, self-checked, nothing. What could you do if you just had regular quarterback play? Am I lying? That's a discussion as we can go through this rest of this week. But the conversation we having today is, let's celebrate the fact that they might got a couple ball players on their plate. Listen, I gotta be clear about it. The same way I'm gonna give you heck, I'm gonna give you what I see. I gotta keep it 100 with you. I came out and said, man, who the heck is Carson Schlesinger? Well, maybe G. Bush, maybe he told me, hey, you're gonna find out. You're gonna find out who Carson Schlesinger is, big dog. Because I'm nice. Touche, Carson. I've seen 3 games, Carson. I said, look, you look like you want to be Carson Matthews. People's laughing and joking. Carson Schlesinger's all over the field. The game don't look too big for him. Game don't look too big for him. I don't see no blown coverages and mistakes. Even the play that it was in the end zone, I was impressed. Even though they gave up this touchdown, he was in no man's land on that boot where he was kind of in no man's land covering the guy and they scored a touchdown. Even the way he covered that was impressive, because as a linebacker, there's no win on that one. You got to have pressure from the defensive line to make him throw the ball, because right now he's in, or am I going to let Jordan Love scramble and score a touchdown? Or where's the guy behind me because I don't have eyes on him? And all they're going to do is play the scramble drill. I was even impressed that he was able to play the game long enough to make him have to even make that read. I think Mason Graham is just now starting to turn. He's starting to get it now. And what I mean from a defensive lineman standpoint, it's hard to get out of your mind that I'm a person that is going to hold up other linemen. Or it's hard to get out of your mind that I'm supposed to keep linebackers free and I'm gapping and I'm moving more sideways than moving forward. And because I played in multiple positions. When I was in high school, I played in the 4-3 defensive end. We moving upfield. Then I moved and we moved to a Tampa 2 type defense when I was in college. And then we moved to a defense that they used to run at Texas A&M with Von Miller. Then they moved to another defense where it's a 3-4 and we kind of moving sideways, keeping linebackers. It's a philosophy. And most of your movements they have that you drill over and over and over again. You're just drilling that stuff. But finally, when you get comfortable, and I feel Mason Graham has gotten to that point, he's getting comfortable and understanding all else fails, just be in the backfield. All else fails, you're never going to get double teamed. Myles Garrett got 3-4 people on him. All else fails, upfield. All else fails, let's just be back there. And the fact that Malik Collins is next to him is another added bonus. I like what Isaiah McGuire and Alex Wright are doing as a rotating couple over there. There's no really drop-off between of them. And I think if you got 2 defensive ends over there that can still consistently do that, I like it. 2 sneaky dudes that played well. 2 of the most sneaky dudes that played well. Sneaky dudes that played well. Greg Newsome and Devin Bush. Greg Newsome and Devin Bush, low-key, is having spectacular years so far, if you could say spectacular with 3 games. Devin Bush arguably could have had the punch out and turnover that changed the game earlier than a block kick. And I always say this. This is what you need. You need stuff like that to happen. Because it's so often that the Cleveland Browns would have just Cleveland Browns themselves out of it. We would have looked up and said, man, we should have had that turnover. We got screwed by the referees. And and look, it's just the Browns being the Browns. But it takes not just one effort. It's multiple efforts. Think about what you had to do to win the game, right? Think about what you had to do to win that football game. When they stopped you on the goal line, you had to kick the field goal. We had to make that field goal. Then we had to come back. Grant Delpit had to get the interception and then run it all the way back to the goal line. They did that. Then it took for Judkins to punch it in and get to 10-10, right? Then it takes, after Harden gets the penalty, the defense has to bow his neck. They got a couple of plays where they tackled him in the backfield, and then Devin Bush gets the punch out. And they're like, oh, this could have been a turnover we're looking for. They get the turnover. No. They overturned it. No turnover. We're going to give it back to him. Then Denzel Ward comes back, and what does he do? He said, nope, I got your back, dog. I know you didn't make the play. Let me make it. Block block field goal. Greg Newsome recovers it. They recover it over the 50-yard line. If one thing you give Joe credit for is he didn't play that well today, but he did get the completion to David Njoku. They get the completion. Now they got to go and spike the ball under 2 seconds. Now, I was scared with this. I said, wouldn't it be so Cleveland Browns-ish? They complete that pass over the middle. They ain't got no timeouts. They got to spike the ball. They did get down and spike it within 2 seconds. Then, now it's up to the kicker. And then you get a guy who has missed kicks before that's from 30 yards, who's been on the injury report, strained calf, and he comes in and he makes a kick from the helmet in the middle of the field. That's what you need in order to be resilient, in order to get it done. That's what you need. That's the type of energy you need. Let's take a look at these stats a little bit. Let's take a look at the box score. If you're just pulling up, Cleveland Browns went 13-10 in an improbable fashion. The Browns go to 1-2. Packers go to 2-1. Packers was just coming off 2 wins against the Washington Commanders and the Detroit Lions. But listen, it's the league. This is why I say the games count. All games count. You can't chalk nothing up for nobody. It don't work that way. Games count. Let's look at the stats. Jordan Love, it says his rating and stuff was good. Nope, Jordan, I picked you this year. You were supposed to make that step. 18-25, 183 yards, 7.3 average, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Took 5 sacks for 34 yards. His quarterback rating was 89.2. I don't believe it. No, Jordan, I don't believe it. You cost your team. That interception, you got to understand what type of time you in, Jordan. If you are back and you dropping back and you don't see nothing, the Cleveland Browns offense is struggle. Take the ball and throw it in the stands. You put it in harm's way, and that's what cost y'all. That is what cost you. And when you look at it, that's going to be the difference between the Packers and whether or not they're going to be some sort of playoff team that's going to go far, or a team that gets eliminated quickly. It's that type of thing. I thought they were a little sloppy. I thought it was they were taking time getting the plays in. And again, I give the crowd credit for that. They showed up, and the Browns defense has some stuff to do with that as well. So I'm not going to just sit here and say the Browns, as we talked about before, could possibly be the best defense in the league right now. The best defense in the league. They got one of the best too. When you talk about Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase talking about how Newsom and Ward played, and by the way, you see the difference Denzel Ward makes when he's on the field. You see the difference. That blocked field goal was crazy. Let's look at the Green Bay Packers right here. This is where, look at this. 16 carries for 30 yards for Josh Jacobs. Now, that's 2 weeks in a row. Come on now. You got to give it up. That's 2 weeks in a row now. You had Derrick Henry to get under 30 yards last week. Josh Jacobs now, one of the next group of running backs, 16 carries for 1.9 yard per carry. No rushing touchdowns allowed. Whew. Manuel Wilson had 6 for 25. Jordan Love had a couple read options in there, 4 for 18. But in general, Cleveland Browns, 31 carries, 81 yards for the Packers. 2.6 average. The longest they had was 10 yards. And I think that was Jordan Love on a read option. Browns defense on the run is good luck the rest of the year on that. Y'all gonna have to good luck. Good luck on that, bro. Receiving for the Packers, not much better. You had Matthew Golden had his first opportunity to play. Rookie out of Texas, 4 catches for 52 yards. Josh Jacobs did some work in the backfield, 5 receptions, 44 yards. Tucker Kraft, who was a guy that was doubtful. I don't think it was doubtful, but he was listed on the report, didn't practice during the week. He did play. Not big of a factor. He did have a catch later on in that football game. 3 catches for 29 yards. Romeo Doubs, 2 for 25. Dontavian Wicks, 2 for 21. And then finally, John Fitzpatrick, the other tight end, 2 catches for 12 yards. He did have that touchdown on the goal line we talked about where Carson Schwarzenegger ran the bootleg with Jordan Love. But overall, take a look at what the defense does. I mean, the Browns defense was dominant. We'll get to the defensive stats here in a second. First going in over offensive stats. On the opposite side, Joe Flacco, 21 of 36, 142 yards. The thing that gets me and the thing that is I would say alarming is the 3.9 average. It seems as if there's a lot of checkdowns in this playbook. And here's the thing. I got to decipher this. I got to go back and watch the all 22 because when you got 21 to 36, 142 with 3.9 average 4 yards, you can't be high school teams doing that. 142 yards. The one interception came when he was supposedly throwing the ball. I didn't understand what the heck they were doing with that. People trying to explain that away like it's like they was doing a Jedi mind trick or something. Like, yeah, it's 4th down, you're at midfield, and it's at the end of the half. Just punt the ball, man. Just punt the ball. If you don't have faith, you don't want to go for it in 4th and 8, and you're in no man's land. Just punt the ball. Angle it. You got one of the best kickers in the league. Angle it out of bounds. You don't have to throw a Hail Mary up and get an interception. But the crazy part about it is he underthrew the football. If you're gonna throw it in the end zone and take the chance that it's gonna get picked off, give your guy a chance, Joe. I don't know if he couldn't get enough into it or whatever the case may be. I just didn't like that sequences in general. You take a look at two sacks for 17 yards. His quarterback rating is a 55.6. There was a couple of times there was some holding penalties back there as well. Now, look, DeJuan Jones was out. Cornelius Lucas is a guy that's in. They had to move a lot of guys out. We'll get to see what's going on. We'll figure out during the week what's going on with DeJuan Jones. It looked like he got rolled up on a screen pass. So we'll get to that. But overall, I just think 21-36, 142 to 3.9. That's not, they won this game in spite of the quarterback play in the offense today. And congratulate them. Clap it up for the Cleveland Browns as a team. They'll take the team win. And if they want to win ugly, that's great. Like I said before, you could not take that away, and we're going to take that win. We had 3 of them last year. However, if I'm watching this and I watch the performance of the defense, the Cleveland Browns could beat the Detroit Lions if they just get regular competent quarterback play. If they just get regular, hey, let's get some field goals. Hey, let's play the field position game. But you can't miss guys wide open, and you can't look like you're just checking the ball down for the sake of checking it down. And I can't bury my head in the sand as a person who watches the game of football just to feel happy about today, when I know that you can get more of this happiness if you fix some of the stuff that they go back and look, right? And that's fixable. In terms of that. Now, Kevin Stefanski has already came out and said he's not going to change. Joe Flacco is his quarterback. I can only tell you what I would do. With this defense, listen, it's time to start that youthful movement. Come on in. We're gonna run that all the way back. And I'm gonna tell Myles Garrett, I need you to have their back. Y'all playing like this, get your rookies ready to go. And Dillon Gabriel's the first one up. He already 25 years old. It ain't like he wet behind the ears. He 25, then played 60-some games in college. That's what one of the perks was for having him, right? So let's get to offensive side of the ball in terms of the receivers. David Njoku, 5 for 40. Cedric Tillman, 3 for 26. He had to push off. He had a nice catch. He got called for pass interference. It was a push off. That came back. So 3 for 26. Harold Fannin Jr., 3 for 25. I like what Harold Fannin did. There was a couple of plays where he just caught the ball short of the sticks and then couldn't get him down. That's that type of energy I need to see. And I want to see more check with me plays. I want to see more where you could get Cedric Tillman. And I want to see more from Harold Fannin. I want to see more from Njoku in terms of getting those guys out, because they are a load to bring down in that secondary. So let's isolate and get them more. We got to be better with that, with Jerry Jeudy. One catch. Yeah, one catch for 17, got to be better. With 5 targets, have to be better for Jerry Jeudy. That's your number one guy. Isaiah Bond, 2 for 16. Jerome Ford came in the game, 4 for 10. Jamari Thrash, 2 for 7 yards, and Quishad Junkins had 1 catch for 1 yard. However, I saved this best for last. This is what we're talking about right here. Quinshon Junkins, 18 carries, 94 yards, 5.2 yards per carry. And I'm not a genius. I ain't a genius. But let me tell you this. If you can get 18 to 20 carries from the young pup, 94, 5.2 and a touchdown, that's what you need to do. And Kevin, let me just give you this. Y'all got the win today, Kev. But if I ever see you again pull a play action, bootleg, fade, post, out route to a center, Luke Whippler again, I know something. I'm going to give you the same look my grandmother used to give me when I used to go to the grocery store, and she told you before you went in there, you better not ask for nothing. And you go in and see the same first thing and you ask for something. That look be crazy. You just slowly pan out like it's one of them shots from Spike Lee. You know his favorite pan out shot. Slowly. He did it in Malcolm X. He did it in Mo Better Blues. If you know, you know. You better not ever pull. You got Luke Whippler out here diving when Quinshon Junkins just ran the ball. Give him the football 4 times, Kevin. 4. If he don't get it, he don't get it. 4. We're going to talk about that. You got the win. But I'm tucking that away. That will be used against you at some point this year. I cannot believe you pulled that. That was wild work, my G. What are you thinking? Needless to say, back to Quinshon Judkins in this 94 yards. This is another reason I'm encouraged, because it looks like you got a dude. By the way, if you guys are able to stick around long enough, Andrew Berry, you better hope y'all get these dubs. Y'all continue to get these wins. But I'll tell you, now you done missed on a whole lot of people. But if Mason Graham continues on this trek, if Judkins continues on this trek, if Schlesinger continues on this trek, if Alex Wright continues on this trek, Isaiah McGuire continues on this trek, it looks like you getting some hits here. It's looking like you getting some succession of hits. Now, all we need is for you guys to figure out what you're doing at quarterback. That's it. But you know how you would get extra credit points? Can you imagine if you was doing this and the quarterbacks was looking good and you actually found something? You know how much extra credit points y'all would get? And then you could go fill some other holes. I'm just saying, dog, don't mess your goodwill up with what you got on the field playing well by slow walking your quarterback play. Because 2023 Joe ain't coming back. That 2023 Joe, that is sailed. This man is out here with his Buckeye card at this point. He is getting half off at the Salvation Army on Tuesdays. Listen, he got his prescription RX card it's for Medicare. The Medicare mobility program, Meals on Wheels. Joe out here looking bad right now. Do not mess up what you got going on, because you look like you got some hits. You look like you got a few hits out here. Don't mess your hand up, dog. Let's get to this defense. 2,794 people, wherever you at, hit the like button, though. If you're on Twitter, we appreciate you. If you're on Facebook, we appreciate you. Let's get to these other statistical categories. Let's take a look at, we really don't care about the Green Bay Packers. We don't care about your stats. We're not going to read those off. By Quay Walker had 14 tackles. Good job out of you today, sir. But we're not going to call your stuff out. Let's get to who we care about, the Cleveland Browns. I told you earlier this year, you're going to look up if he plays all 17 weeks. Carson Schlesinger is going to be one of them dudes that they put on the graphic at the bottom of the screen that says sneaky dudes. He's going to have, did you know Carson Schlesinger is a top 5 tackler in the football? He's going to have over 100 tackles. What a game. 10 tackles for Carson Schlesinger, 7 solo, 1 sack, 1 TFL, and another quarterback hit. Slow clap for Carson Schlesinger. Drinks to you, sir. You look like you drink Labatt Blue. I'll get you one. Grant Delpit, you balled out today. Slow clap. You look like you drink Hennessy. I got the shot of Henny. All right? We got that. We get this man together. 9 total tackles, 6 solos, 1 TFL, 1 pass defended, and of course, the big-time interception in return. Obviously, to me, he has to have co-player of the game. The man who made the big-time kick, Mr. Schmidt, I got to give you it's 55 yards in the game winner. You got to get a piece of that. But to get you set up for that touchdown. The game is not where we're at unless you got Grant Delpit. Grant Delpit is out here. By the way, when we get to it, I want to know who's your player of the game coming up in this football game. It's close. It's close. There's a couple of different ideas that could be player of the game. Schlesinger has to be on the ballot. Grant Delpit is on the ballot. Myles Garrett is always on the ballot. Denzel Ward is on the ballot. When you got 4 dudes on the defensive end that can say they player of the game, that's how you know you had a tremendous game. Devin Bush, all over the field. 6 tackles, 3 solo. Myles Garrett had a half a sack. 6 tackles for him. 1 TFL, a half a sack. Denzel Ward, 5 total tackles, 4 solo at corner, 1 pass defended, and of course he had the big-time block kick. This man, I'm sorry. Go ahead and throw him on here. Malik Collins is a candidate for player of the game. 5 total tackles, 2 solo, and it's at the defensive tackle position. 1.5 sacks, another TFL, right? Love it. And you know what? I got to give you credit for this one too. See, look, who said G. Bush ain't fair? Aiden Huntington. You seem like you want to be a player. Not only Aiden Huntington got a lot of work on the D-line, he was a guy on goal line too. They had him playing fullback. He's relentless. He's the dude you don't want to play on scout team because he just been going too hard on a Thursday. So walkthrough. Aiden, why is you sweating so hard on a walkthrough, Mr. Huntington? Why are you going so hard at life? Good gracious. Aiden is the dude that dropped his kids off at preschool an hour and a half early. Mr. Huntington, are you aware that school doesn't start to 8 o'clock? Yeah, I like my kids to be ready at 6:30 though. That's how we do it in the Huntington household. 4 tackles, 2 solos, a half a sack, another quarterback hit. When you got 5, 6, 7, 10 dudes that's out here really going hard on defense, you got some stuff. You got some work. We're going to have to hear your conversation, too. We got to get to this. We're going to poll the audience. We're going to poll the audience. Let me get to this before we get your stuff ready because we coming to you. 742 comments is wherever. We got the comments ready. We got them ready. I said if Flacco is washed, it's time for a change. What say you? I need to know. Put it in the comment section. Are you rolling with Flacco? Now we know what the Browns would do. They've already told us. But the Browns don't run this show. I run this show, and you are part of it. So I need to know what y'all think. Would you make a chance? Would you make a change? It's simple. When you put it in the chat, we need to know. 1 is for yes for a change. 2 is no. 1 is I need to make a change. Is a Dylan Gabriel era? 2, nah, we're not doing it. You can't change nobody out in the wind. Some people is old school. On UCSS, they say you can't make no move after you win. There's a lot of old school people that think that way. I need to know. Also, you tell me, player of the game. We're going to get to it. Super chats, we're going to get to it. Player of the game as well. So here we go. Let's start cooking. Boom. Miss Duke. Collins went scorched earth. Go D-line. Malik Collins was out there looking nasty. And by the way, great assessment. Usually people don't be jumping up and moving like that when people talk about it. Hey, this D-line. This D-line different. It's different. By the way, I need to know as well. I'm a fan of the uniforms. I am a fan of this is the closest thing to black uniforms I'm ever going to get. I am approving the Alpha Dog uniforms. And if you get the new uniform, you got to make sure that you play like an Alpha Dog. And I think the Browns did that today. Let me know if you like the uniforms as well. We got 3 questions: uniforms, player of the game, and is Flacco sitting for you or not? This defense is too legit to quit. Plus, the kickers getting some confidence. When do you think it's time for Dylan or Shador to play? Well, this is probably when I started off, but you see what the energy level is when you see the rest of them young boys playing. That youthful energy is exuberant. They waiting on it. They ain't gonna tell you that. They're gonna play good soldiers, but them dudes in that locker room is waiting on it. They waiting on to see what them young dudes gonna do. Because here's the thing: just because you older don't mean that guarantees you Flacco's skill sets strictly and on an analyst level. Yes, it's time. It's time. I would have moved. I would have moved to do it last week. That's just me. You know what I'm saying? That's just me. How I think about it. I'm not listen. Because you got a stone cold defense. You got some young dudes that's gonna catch them. You got 2 tight ends that's security blankets. You got a running game. You got enough to get them comfortable and propped up, and they still gonna be able to move in the pocket better than Flacco do, right? And he won't even throw the ball downfield no more. So I'd have been moved. Rob Cunningham, we appreciate you, my guy. These rookie picks are balling. Let a QB join the fun. You can't tell me I be hating, bro. You can't tell me I don't be. Listen, it'd be crazy, bro. It's nuts, man. The young bulls is playing. The young dudes is out here playing with that level of energy right now. Come on. If I'm Myles Garrett, I'm like, listen, hey, look, we out here cooking. And here's the way you could do it. And I'm just saying, this is instead of having a mindset of thinking that you calling something off and it's nasty, that if I put a rookie in, we waving a white flag. On the contrary, you go to Myles Garrett and them defensive guys said, we got faith in these young dudes. We drafted them for a reason. We understand that we needed a quarterback. And we realize that you guys are dominant. You guys can get it done. You're going to have their back. We got each other's back. It's going to be sometimes where a part of this team is going to be more productive than other parts. Sometimes we're going to have to lean on Schmidt to hit a 55-yarder. That's a hard kick. Did they lean on him? Did they put him out there to do it? Yeah, you gave him a chance. You see what I'm saying? You gave him a chance to prove who he was and to show up and say, look, I could do it. That's a powerful thing. When you put somebody's own destiny in their hands and say, we believe in you enough, and go out here and do it. Man, we know what it is with Joe. And Joe know what type of time we on. He know too. Project Leroy, we appreciate your super chat. Put the rookie in at quarterback. No more old Stetler Joe at quarterback. Miss Bell, if the D-line has to keep playing at this level, injuries and low to motivation, rookies are hungry and ready. Play Dylan and Shador and stop the nonsense. Dylan Gabriel had his helmet on the whole game. Dylan had his helmet on the entire game. Like, you could tell he was like, yeah, when you got that is the yeah, you washed. That is the dude in front of me is washed. Let me put my helmet on. Dylan Gabriel had that helmet and his mouthpiece in. I'm like, hey, Dylan, take your mouthpiece out, dog. He trying to talk to folks. He got the visor on, the helmet. His stuff is strapped up. I'm like, Dylan, you're not going in yet, dog. But he was ready, though. He was ready. Fitness with Kelly Michelle. Hey, what's up, Kelly? I appreciate you, man. I hope all is well out there. Gee, I have to give you love as well. Wow, Delpit, oh my goodness. He moves like a panther, moves unseen, strikes with fire. Least expected. Flacco is out. Bro, you said a poem for this cat, Delpit. Moves like a jaguar, stealthy, underneath the flower foliage of the great Amazon River, a panther prowls. Grand Delpit is name. Suede. Black suede. It looked like Grand Delpit would have a cologne called Black Suede. It just do. Black Suede by Grand Delpit. Triz, congrats on the win. Your reward, more Joe Flacco. Man, see, you know what, Triz? Why I be messing around. Triz, you be. You know, a joke, when no joke is funny unless it was half true. And it is half true. 99% of you is so excited about the win. The other 1% is like, dang. They're going to talk themselves into 5-6 more weeks of Joe Flacco because of this. Joe going home like, yeah, we got that dub. That dub. Like he's saying it strong. We got that dub. Yeah. You're gonna put that gray t-shirt on, get in that Ford F-150, put his Bluetooth in. You know, old dudes be like 10 years behind on the technology. He put that Bluetooth in. Yeah, Chuck, yeah, we got it done. Yeah. I'm on my way home right now. Yeah. No, I ain't use it. Yeah. No telephone there. You know, I got this thing called a Bluetooth now. All I gotta do is drive. I keep my hands on the wheel. I just talk to you out front. No problem. I'm about to go home. I'm gonna see if I can get home real quick before the sun beat me. I got some yard work to do. You know, old people be doing stuff. Yeah, I got some stuff to do in my shed before it gets sundown. Yeah, I got a couple canteens. I'm gonna go ahead. Yeah, I gotta go down by the river. You're like, Joe, what river do you live in? You don't live in Oregon, Joe. Yeah, I got a shed and back in the back. I've been chopping wood and stuff. Greg, what's up? What's up, cuz? Complimentary football was had today. Say that again. That is complimentary football. Complimentary football is when you pick up what your brother put down. Complimentary football is filling in the gaps where there's some deficiencies, right? And you did that today. And you see what happens when you can consistently do that. When you fill in the gaps and you have people step up, not shrink in the moment, you can win football games. And it just goes to show you, this is why I get so angry and upset when people tell you the Browns are just terrible. Deal with it. It's 0-16 this year. It don't have to be that way. It doesn't have to be analytically driven where now all of a sudden let's lose for quarterbacks that we don't even see. Now they're looking around. It's like, bro, ain't no quarterbacks to be had like that. That's out here moving the needle like that. It might be somebody come along, but at the end of the day, bro, we living for today, man. When you got the best defensive player in the world, think about this. You got one of the best corners, one of the best defensive ends in the entire universe, and you're just content with waiting that prime out? You're content with losing and saying that we about to get for this? Come on, man. We can't. For real? You know you may not get another one of them. You do know that, right? These dudes don't grow on trees. You may not get another one of them. If you do lucky enough to find a quarterback, you might not always, and then you going back, but man, if we would have had a guy like Myles Garrett at the same time, second year in a row, Stefanski offense and the quarterback can't complete passes over 5 yards. Offense was nasty today. Browns are so bad when we the Browns are so bad when we win. I still feel bad. No, you shouldn't feel bad. You could do two things at once. You can feel great that the Cleveland Browns won today and they found a way to win football games, but you can also be a person that says, I'm still not as high on the position of quarterback. Because the Browns won, I don't like our tackles. DeJuan Jones looks like he's hurt again. I'm happy we won. It doesn't mean that, like, I have to say individually the tackles played great magically and put my head in the sand. No, you don't have to do that. You can just say, listen, I'm going to take every win we get, dog. And if you're a Browns fan, celebrate your tail off tonight. But you can also say, I don't know about this quarterback. I don't know about our offensive line either. I don't know about our long-term health with that. I don't know about Kevin Stefanski as a play caller. But I'm glad we won, though. See? Greg Castellanos. Haslam need to let Kevin go. Let's give Dabo the bag because Clemson letting him go in 2 weeks. Dabo, hey. Them Clemson boys looking nasty. I don't know if y'all watch college football. Them Clemson boys is looking nasty. I don't know what they're running. Syracuse looked like a juggernaut. It was Syracuse. The week before it was Georgia Tech. I don't know. Here's the thing about Dabo. I don't know. He strikes me as a coach that I don't know if they'll let him get that off. I don't know. I don't know if they'll let. So maybe some of his tactics, his personality. I don't know if that will work in the league. I'm not saying it wouldn't. I don't know about the fit. I'll put in there about it. I need it today, but Stifler's Flacco needs to go. Hey, see? You do two things at once. I needed to win today. I saw 3 of them. Last year was nasty work. You know how bad it is covering the football team and doing a show 5 days a week and doing another report 4 days a week and doing another podcast every single week and doing another show called The Barbershop every single week and doing the post-game show ain't nobody. I'm doing a bunch of content, and it sucks as a football fan and a Browns fan and as a person who loves and is super uber competitive to lose every game. My wife even knows my whole person. She said, listen, we got to find you. It's the best thing for walking. My wife told me, she was like, hey, listen, we got to change something. We got to change something. I was like, what you mean? She's like, last year can't happen, dog. I said, what you mean? She's like, bro, you are miserable for 3 days after each game. I ain't got no time for you to be waiting on 3 days for you to cool off. Like, we got other things to do, like grocery shopping in life. I need to talk to you. There's sometimes I need to talk to you on a Monday. You don't get 3 days no more, big dog. I said, man, you're right, kind of right. So I walk it out. You know what I'm saying? We walk and, tell me whatever she wanted to tell me when we walking, right? So trust me, I understand how much of a mood Browns can put you in. However, just learn to compartmentalize it. I like winning. I want to win more. And I think if I change my quarterback, I think I can win more. So why would I not say that? Sapper Daddy, I've seen enough of Joe. He missed Bond twice. Both times was nothing but air covering him and why. Excuse me. Let me slow down. He missed Bond twice. Both times was nothing but air covering him. If you win in spite of the quarterback, it's time to make a change. Time to make a change. Alexander Gallant. I always wanted a name like Gallant. There's a artist. His name is Gallant. And then there was a Mitsubishi Gallant that I used to have. My brothers look better. I had like a red one. He had like a black one. His was tinted out, but shout out to his Mitsubishi. It was dope back then. Andre Schmidt, player of the game. Make it or turn your uniform in. He made it. I ain't got no problem if I have Gallant. I have no problem if Schmidt is the guy because on sentiments alone, because he was about to be up out of here, I kind of lean towards that anyway. Fred Himes, you can see the vision of this team. Defense keeps it close. Special teams makes plays. Offense has to give more. We missed a field goal from we'll miss field goal from being 2-1. Right now, there's 2 or 3 people that's pumped. Right now, Andrew Berry, if this was Andrew Berry, hood Andrew Berry, is smoking a black and mild right now. Matter of fact, he's freaking a black and mild like this, tapping it on the thing. And that's how Andrew Berry, Birdman hands. Guy Schlesinger looking, Junkins came back off the street, putting up almost 100. Mason Graham balling. It don't help. It don't hurt the fact that Travis Hunter can't get the rock down in Jacksonville. They're like, psh, and we got a first-round pick. No Travis Hunt slander, though. Travis Hunter slander, that's the homie. We do no slander of Travis Hunter in the building. This is what it is. Just leave that alone. But young guys playing, Harold Fannin, black and mild hands. Harold Fannin balling. The kicker we said you should cut, just hit a 55. Andrew Berry somewhere rubbing his hands together right now. Feeling good about his life. Let me see. Player of the game, Jimmy Schwartz. Bench Flacco immediately. Uniforms are fire. Play the young guys. Stop with the harder to schedule games and play them. P. Rothstein, I like how you fit everything in there. Awesome. I like how you gave me the player of the game, Jim Schwartz. By the way, all Jim Schwartz does is come up with game plans to slow suckers down. You can't even, Jim Schwartz is over there really standing on business. Like, you're like, I don't even got Martin Emerson. I start rookies. That's the way you start young boys. That's why you start the young dudes. Bench Flacco immediately. We all concur with that. By the way, it doesn't mean let's stop with the noise. Let's stop. We're going to put all silence. We're going to put all this. Just because I don't think the quarterback ain't playing, or somebody else don't think the quarterback is playing up to snuff, does not mean you get to have a carte blanche over what is a Browns fan. That's the oldest trick in the book. You're not a Browns fan if you don't just blankly co-sign. If we won today, that means everybody played good. You think they say that in the meetings? They're going to go back into these meetings and read somebody up and rip somebody. And you know what? There's going to be mistakes being made. That's part of life. But just because I don't think Joe Flacco is playing well does not mean that's a referendum on my Browns hoodness. You're not a real Browns fan. You just, why? Because I said he wasn't playing good? I also said that I didn't know who Carson Schlesinger was when they drafted him. I'm like, what the heck is that? Well, I saw his play and he's good now. Am I supposed to continue to double down and say Carson Schlesinger is a bum? No. You see, the way it works is you see something, you analyze it, and then you tell your opinion. You don't just say the opposite of it, of what the reality of the situation is, just to make people feel comfortable because they haven't come to that conclusion yet. And here's the way it works. You can actually still listen and listen along with the podcast and then say, yeah, look, I don't agree with G. Bush on that one. I would give Joe Flacco X amount of more weeks to see it get better, but I feel he does need to play better. We got the win today. He's going to need to play better in the future if we want more wins. I'm going to give him a couple more weeks to see if he comes around before I make that decision. You see how easy that was? See how easy? No ruffled feelings, no feathers. That's how you feel. I'm just saying. Sapper Daddy, it's a great win. But like you said, Joe ain't it. The look in his eyes tells me He's out of it, and he's got that 1,000-yard stare like he is shell-shocked. When I started looking at this number sapper, Daddy, let's get to it. This is all you need to see. Now, Jordan Love was digging and dunking too, but at least he had 7.3 yards per average. Do you know how hard it is to be checked down, Charlie, to the level of having a 3.9 average? That means there was multiple passes that were almost 0 yards or 1 yard or behind the line of scrimmage. 3.9? And the fact that he missed some guys when they were easy. See, let me give you my Joe Flacco thought. Let me give you this. There is a difference between playing in 2023, coming off the couch, and having a mentality of, this might be my last opportunity and go around. I was at home. Nobody was calling me. I was at home for weeks. I get the opportunity. Even when he got the opportunity, it was not set in stone that he was going to start. When he came in and started, he realized, man, I missed the game a lot. Man, I might want to soak this up. Man, you know what? They didn't think they was making the playoffs after Deshaun Watson got hurt anyway. Let's just come in here and let it all hang out. Let it flow. Let it roll. There were some throws I still don't understand how Joe Flacco got him there. There's a throw to the Bears with Amari Cooper. He threw between a triangle, an isosceles triangle. It was like the ball trajectory, it sounded like it was trigonometry. The trajectory had to be something so crazy in between a moving triangle of defenders. I still don't know how he caught that in Amari Cooper. But here's the thing. It's different from playing with no expectations and feeling like this your last hurrah. To all of a sudden, you are now the starter, and it's your job to keep young, hungry rookies off your trail that want to get their first hunt. They trying to go get their first dinner, and you in the way of it. So every throw they throw in practice, they put everything they got into it. They're not playing with you. Shedeur Sanders just said, when I'm out here in scout team, I got 6 games. Every single game, I'm soaking up knowledge because I'm playing against the Browns' first-team defense. I'm going to take advantage of that. I said, dang, that's a great way of looking at it. Because when you playing scout team and it's Denzel Ward, if you can move the ball on scout team against the Browns defense, you're a starting quarterback caliber player. If you're moving it on this defense, with these looks, come on now. I'll take them reps. So think about it. Now that it's a different type of time, it's a different type of energy. Now, instead of letting it go and letting it all hang out and throwing the football with no inhibitions and throwing the football and just letting it rip, throwing the football and not giving it you know what. Now, every time you drop back and throw, it's in your back of your mind. Don't throw no interceptions, Joe. You know, Kevin don't like for interceptions. How you going to keep your job if they say you don't want to give us the best chance, but you the one turning the ball over, Joe? So what happens when you get that itch and you see that window? Do you see it and let that window fly? Do you see it and let the ball go and deal with the consequences? Or do you be safe, hit this guy, and live to fight another day? Sometimes it takes you to do that, but sometimes that's what the defense wants you to do. And if you can't give your team an opportunity to have chunk plays, you're in trouble. And here's the most damning part. When you're the Cleveland Browns, you're going to have tops 4 plays that are going to give you game-changing opportunities. 4, right? And out of them 4, you got to hit 2 of them if you want, if with the deficiencies that they have offensive-wise, in terms of not having guys that can spread the field, in terms of guys that aren't as consistent with catching the ball. The fact that you have 2 backup tackles, you got 2 rookie running backs, you don't have a consistent running game as up to now. How difficult is it to not capitalize on those And the one, there was Isaiah Bond was open twice. One in the fourth quarter where he was open, he just airmailed it. Another one was the flea flicker. It was so fast that he checked it down so fast. People is calling it a flea flicker tight end screen. It was hot potato. He gave it to him, flipped it back, checked down immediately. I said, I ain't never seen a flea flicker tight end middle screen. This is whoop. You can't play like that. Exactly. They gave the rookie a chance. OBJ kicker, right? Give him a chance to show what you can do. But here's my premise. They're in between a rock and a hard place. Because there's one thing that I will say is they are apprehensive to start the clock. And I've said this before. Because if see, I told you I wasn't going to get into this. I wasn't going to get into this today, but you said it. I'll give it to you. And this is the place where this is a judgment-free zone. And it's a 100% real zone. So it is what it is. The reason they are reluctant to start running the rookies is because of two things. That starts your clock. What do you mean by clock? That starts the clock in which people now are focusing on solely on Kevin Stefanski. Now, currently, we are not focusing on Kevin Stefanski. The focus is a number of places. DeJuan Jones not playing well and not being on the field. The fact that the Cleveland Browns offensive line looks old at times and aged. The fact that you got two tackles that are going to be problematic the rest of the year. Jack Conklin is hurt. The problem that you have where receivers aren't catching the football as much as they consistently should. You see how the blame and how the thoughts and everything is posted is directed towards players. Joe Flacco is old. Joe Flacco is maybe missing receivers. He can't move in the pocket. But the second you start rookies, there's no more scapegoats. There's none. They are now looking at two things only. How your offense and playbook looks to help accentuate what rookies do best, and what does the team look with the energy level that happens once you go to the rookies. And Kevin Stefanski gets a double whammy because he's the play caller. Now it's hyper-focused. And when I mean hyper-focused, it's everybody. The real season for a lot of people in Cleveland Browns fandom is when rookies start playing, because it's an evaluation. Plus, I want to see what the difference is between them and Joe. When you have that, you bring a lot of eyeballs. And you know what eyeballs bring? Scrutiny and accountability. So as long as he can wait to continue to play Joe Flacco, it keeps that timeline from ticking down. Tick, 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 tick. Because be truthful, none of the rest of those positions carry the same amount of energy where people is going to tune in like that, especially given the quarterback competition that they set themselves up for. So here it is. That's what we had to see. Will, appreciate your super chat, my guy. Never accept anything in a win that you wouldn't in a loss. Time to bench Flacco. I like that. I'm going to use that next week because you're going to hear that a lot. Would you think about it? You can't let the result cloud what it is that you're evaluating. The defense played spectacular. And to be truthful, they needed a lot of things to bounce the right way and then for them to make all of the plays for them to win this football game by the slimmest of margin, right? But in order to truly change the culture of your organization, you need to have a standard in which you have some bottom floor of what you are willing to accept. And to be honest with you, if you accept the bad quarterback play or I wouldn't even say bad, it's just it's unplayable, then what's going to happen is you're going to have more and more games where you're not going to get everything to bounce right your way. You're going to have some stuff go the wrong way, and you're not going to win those games because you're asking your defense and special teams to be perfect. It just won't work that way. So What do? You try to get better in the margins, and you try to identify what areas can we control and get better at. And just saying that I don't know and I'm uncomfortable because the rookies haven't played yet, it's not a valid excuse for keeping somebody in a position that is not really performing. No company does that at certain positions as important as quarterback. The CEO of companies, they don't change CEOs lightly, right? But they also don't go into board meetings and say, hey, our profits are down 35%. Our turnover is up 25%. We lost 4 or 5 key contracts last year. Well, I know the CEO is not doing a good job and he's making $10 million or whatever the case may be, but who are we going to replace him with? He said, that's what we hire HR for. We'll figure it out. But the one thing we're not going to do is sit here and do this because this is not sustainable. Yeah, we can say, well, that was just a bad year. Do you want to take that chance? I'm not taking it. I'm never going to play in my fears. I'm not going to play in my fears when I feel like I can get better and it's steps I can do to take to do that. Let's continue on. Ron SW, thank you so much for the super chat. Move on to Dylan Gabriel so we can get to the future legendary. Hey, it's a lot of people. Guess what? You got to give them an opportunity. I always say it. Do I think Dylan Gabriel's the greatest prospect in the world? No. But put it on tape. Faith without works is dead. You don't gain any faith without seeing or action. The action is what counts. The action is what it is. Don't live an ideology. I don't keep people in positions for ideology because I think this is the smart thing to do because the history tells me this, or everyone says it, or a writer says it. No, the proof is where you make the decision at. That's where it's at. But we all know why they're not making a decision. We do know that, correct? It's one of them things. I always said it. The most powerful position is the quarterback. It's not just whether or not you can play or not. It's because if they move and one of these guys hit, the future of Kevin Stefanski is no longer in Kevin Stefanski. His future is then in the quarterback. Because if the quarterback is really good and people say that he's a franchise quarterback, if the offense or if things go wrong around the quarterback, they're going to choose the quarterback over the coach, especially if the coach has been here for how long? It's simple nature. But that's a losing mentality. The winning mentality would be, I'm doubling down because I can get me a Brock Purdy because I feel I'm nice like that. I feel like my playbook is nice like that. I feel like my people skills is nice like that. I feel my evaluation skills is like that. The way that I can scheme is like that. The way that I can relate to people is like that. I ain't scared to go with an unknown because I feel like what's known is what I do preferably. That's what I do. This is my craft. But you gave me playing in your feeling. I need a veteran who's limited. You shouldn't have that thought process because you're more comfortable with the veteran and losing than a rookie that you don't know and can't really envision, or you don't quite know the crystal ball future. That just happens to be a rookie. You see what it is. Let's see. Neil Gray, where are the critics that wanted to get rid of the kid? Everyone deserves a second chance except Joe. Shador was criticized for kicker. Let's see. Everyone deserves a second chance except Joe. LOL. Shador was criticized for kicker. I don't know. That needs more explaining. I'm not sure what that is. When you talk about criticizing a kicker, when you're an undrafted kicker and you miss 2 very close field goals and it cost you the game, you're going to get criticized. It's part of the game. It just is what it is. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. I see what you're saying. Shout out. My wife is always gave me, Shador. went up to the kicker and said, hey, continue to keep your head up, bro. I know, continue to do your thing. And they made it about his backwards hat. I remember that. Yeah, they be doing the most. It crazy. But I will say this. There's a lot of people that wrote Shador off because he ran backwards and got sacked. Well, Joe Flacco gets sacked. Jordan Love got sacked 5 times today. I mean, that's the thought process. But we all know what that is. When somebody tells you somebody is not good for so long and they brash and cocky, there's still leftover residuals from that because people just repeat what they want to repeat. But I get what you're saying now. I appreciate the super chat. Vernell Jackson, we are a receiver away. We got to change. We got to change the quarterback. I actually think Kevin Stefanski actually knows that Flacco is not it. I think he knows that. We kind of established the reason why he does that, because I just think it's time for it. He's come up with this thing in his mind that I'm not going to go to them until I'm ready to do it. Now, is that as right as a coach? Sure. Does it mean it's the correct way to go about it? Yes, that could be the same thing too. But at the end of the day, I hope he understands that the longer you continue to push it off, it just makes it harder on your football team and you in general. Brandon's Gym, thank you so much for the super chat. This defense is great, and we don't even have JOK. What if we could get him back too? That'd be crazy. I just hope JOK can just function. I've had neck injuries, but not as crazy as him. I understand how debilitating those things can be. I just hope he can, come back to regular day, everyday life. But of course, I wish he could come back and play. I don't know if that's an option that's on the board, but I'm always praying for him because he's a really good dude, really solid. I think he's more of a Browns spiritual leader as well, trying to, basically let people know that the perspective of go out there and play because it could be taken from you at any moment. Vernell Jackson says he did not see Bond wide open, bring in the Rooks. That's the thing that's a little bit alarming because Joe has always been a guy that can throw with anticipation. He's always been a dude that can throw the ball and understand where it's at. I think sometimes when you get it hammered in your head, don't make a turnover, it makes you to a point where you're not thinking like an athlete. You're not thinking like a quarterback. There's reins on quarterbacks, but truly the great quarterbacks, the ones that are transcendent and really do what they need to do, are the ones that the coach's job is to put them in a position to accentuate their skill sets and strong points, not to put in a position where it's my offense and I'm going to fit a square peg in a round hole. It don't work. I don't want to stifle your creativity. I don't want to stifle what it is that happens in the time frame from when I snap the ball, because that's where the game is. The game is won not in the play call and the regurgitating in the huddle. The game is won by you taking a snap and what happens between them 3 seconds after I take a snap and what happens when the defense declares what they want to do. That's when the magic happens. Well, age gamer, they messed up and won a game, and now we want some promising quarterbacking. Flacco is done, and our future is not in 2026. Let's get the rookies in here. I think one of the things that you're referring to is you can have a level of fool's gold, right? If you just look at the outcomes of certain things and you base your analytics, or you base your perception, or you base your evaluation on strictly the outcome, you're going to get some data that can be skewed. If you sit here and say, well, we took all the thing that matters is winning. The quarterback is the most pivotal part of a team. So if the team won, that means the quarterback won. It's a way to looking at it, but is it getting you the most optimum way that you can go about evaluating whether or not I'm getting the most out of quarterback position? No, it's not. Because you're not taking into account what he's doing, or you're not taking a look at, more importantly, the opportunity cost that you're missing that you could have if the next person you put in is better than the person you have right now. And the only way to figure that out is to get them prepared to play and play them if the other person is not performing up to snuff. But it takes heart, gumption. It takes a level of football gut to say, I'm going to go with that. And by the way, I gave the example. Coach Prime, Caden Salter, if you're a Colorado person, you watch Coach Prime. Caden Salter was a guy that came from Liberty. He was a big-time NIL guy. He was a guy that, they got in, and he was supposed to be a guy that was going to follow Shedeur Sanders and be transformative. The first games of the year, he played horrible. You know what Coach Prime did? He turned around and looked at the guy that was waiting there, that's been there forever, that came into the game and gave him a shot in the arm, led 2 drives. The very next game, you know what he did? He let him start. And guess what? When he started, it was looking like nasty work. It was terrible. They couldn't move it all the field. And you know what Coach Prime said? Hey, I go by the results. I go by what I'm seeing in my eyes. And my eyes say that when you got in there, it was levels to this. We can't win with you. They went back to Caden Salter. And guess what? 300 plus yards. Big win. Played wide, got a win. It ain't nothing that says if you don't go away from Flacco that somehow the world is over. He's 41. He should be mature enough to understand, hey, you weren't playing good. We went to somebody else. But if they get hurt or they don't play good, guess what? You can go back in the game. Sapper Daddy says they are trying to survive another 3 years. That is also another thing. And just remember this, you heard this first here. So if somebody takes the theory, you tell them, I need you to give G. Bush credit for that. If they do make it past this year and they draft a quarterback, that almost guarantees them 3 extra years. You say, why do you say that? Sapper Daddy, what are you talking about? Well, the first year, when they get a quarterback, they're still going to have Shedeur Sanders and Dylan Gabriel on the roster. At that point, because of the investment they have in a high first-round draft pick and the amount of money, that signifies that either Dylan Gabriel or Shedeur Sanders will have to be the backup at some point, because even if they're playing well, they're going to move to him because of the money. You already have Deshaun Watson on your team. That's a huge cap hit that if we sitting there looking at. Now you draft a quarterback that has a high rookie scale. You think they can afford to sit a rookie for a whole year and Deshaun Watson? No. And you can't cut Deshaun Watson because it's an $80 million or $90 million. It's almost 100 dead cap for next year. So he's going to be here. And nobody's going to take that deal, by the way. So if you take both of them, you're going to have you have 4 quarterbacks, right? 2 of them make a lot of money, 2 of them don't. But they all know and understand that you can't keep one of the most popular people in the world at quarterback on your roster, especially if he balls out in the preseason. So they'll do what exactly they did coming up next year. They'll do it again this year, the Kenny Pickett program. They'll say, either Dylan Gabriel or Shedeur Sanders, we won't give them all the reps. We hope they play well, and then we're going to trade them. Because you know what? They already made their decision that they drafted a quarterback. So guess what? When you draft a quarterback and then you play him, they're not going to start off playing them the whole year next year. They'll probably play the same game they play now. We'll get them in at the end of the season when the season is over. So guess what? They're the one who's drafted them. They're the ones who developed them. Do you think that they can go in and then if you fire them after next year, that means the next guy is going to come in and want his quarterback or want his system, right? So now, guess what you got? You're not going to fire him then because you're going to we got to do what's best to make this pick look good. So guess what? They're going to be there that year. Then, because you don't have any capital, because you got Deshaun Watson in the first-round pick on your roster, you're not going to be able to go around and buy a bunch of first-round picks. You can't have no free agents because you need 4 or 5 new linemen next year. What are you going to do if you use all your picks to go up and get a quarterback? You're going to probably have to give up next year's number one. You're probably going to have to use those draft picks on a lot of different things. And by the way, it even puts you in a worse predicament because this year, if the Cleveland Browns win more games, say they win 4 or 5 games, they're not getting the first pick. So now you definitely got to package picks to go get them. But you could use those picks on defensive linemen or receivers. So now the next year, we're talking about 2028, is, well, we were in a position where we didn't have any weapons or offensive linemen because we didn't have any money. So now our goal is to get them weapons and an offensive line. You can't revamp both in a short period of time. So what if that next year in 2027 is go get you some linemen? You still got the same receivers. Where are you going to get them from? You can't get them free agent wise, and best receivers come out in the first round. You don't have first round picks. You use it on quarterback. So then they got to wait another year to get receivers. So now that puts you at 20. That's 3 more years. So that's the long plan for those who extrapolate. Sapper Daddy, this is why we said wishing Watson fails is going to put you, bro, you cooking. You are cooking. For all the people that were short-sighted last year and doing victory laps about Deshaun Watson, I say, guys, you're stupid. Why would you do that? Because you're putting yourself in a situation where if you don't ever want him to play, and some people are so emotional and dumb that they advocate cutting Deshaun Watson, knowing that the only way the Browns can field a roster is them by continually extending the roster. They have to keep extending his contract in order to have payroll money to pay everybody else. And they're like, just cut him for 120. No, that ain't the way it is. This is why we said wishing Watson fails is going to put us in a bad spot. Barry knows that Watson set us back 5 years. He needs 3 drafts to fix the damage, and they can't start the rooks because they'll all be gone next year. You look like you know something. As coach, I welcome hell. Bring it. I return to sender. Batty sister says, G. Bush, you remember when you freaked out G. Bush, you remember you freaked out when they took Carson with the first pick of the second round? God, you were wrong. Trust the process. Hey, see, this is in timing. As you see, I already went back and said what I said about Carson Schlesinger in the beginning of the podcast. Rewind it. Feel free to prove me wrong. It's the way God, that's the way it works. The best thing about football is it don't matter what I say or 3 other people say. Every person has an opportunity to prove people wrong on the field. And as a person who played football and as a person who respects what the game is, I completely, wholeheartedly love the fact that somebody proved me wrong because guess what? It meant that the Browns hit on a pick and it meant that you got a ball player. When you get new information, always remember, boys and girls, never be afraid to take into account your new information because doubling down does you nothing. If I walk outside and it looks sunny and I know I got to be outside all day and yet and still I got food because it looks sunny and I didn't have a coat on. Once I get outside and look around and that wind hit me, the good Lord gave you a hint. Hey, bro, it's a little brisk out here today. Might you want to go back and turn yourself around and get you a coat? Why would you then say, you know what? I'll be damned if I do that. I made the decision early on to walk out of the house without a coat. I must stand by that decision, whether it hurts me or not. No coat for me today. Well, you's a fool, ain't you? You's a doggone. When you get new information, feel free to take it. And a coat may keep you warm. I appreciate it, though. Beverly Motley, Uncle Bush. Aunt Bev is in. Aunt Bev finally pulls up. Longtime listener of the Barbershop radio show. And now a part of the Barbershop post-game show and the Barbershop channel. I am so glad you pulled up. Aunt Bev, what's going on? Uncle Bush size, or excuse me, I keep saying size, man. I was making a joke. I said, man, I'm not calling you your real name until you make it. He made it. Smith had some soul food in the Barbershop Aunt Bev Express. I appreciate it. You cooked him up a meal. He acted like he was doing it right. Let's get to this. I want to get to the chat because I know y'all been going crazy. I need to get to the point in the chat where y'all was talking about them ones and would you sit Flacco or not. Let's go over that before we go. And we need game balls. Let's see. We got to scroll back a minute. Let me see. Dang, this is a lot. Let me see. We're going to keep going. We're going to get to them. Remember what I said. One is if you would sit Flacco. Two is if you think he should chill. Alex Peterson says 1. That means Flacco got to sit. Let's see. Frank Williams, 1 is time for change. That's 2. Alexander Gallant, Flacco is one-dimensional, too old. I'm going to take that as 3. All right, here we go. We got some 2s in there. Miss Keita Johnson, I love the uniforms, by the way. Chris Gillespie says, I like that dark brown. It makes the orange pop. Let's see. One, here we go. Nicholas Carr. He's not 8. Nicholas is waiting it out. He gonna hang out on Flacco, right? Just a girl, 007. It's time for the rookies to play. The uniforms contribute. Let's see. Let's continue to go. Leo C, the unis went hard. Uniforms are fire. The Texas truth. Kelly Michelle says it's time for him to go ahead and sit down. Let's see. Insert human right here. Flacco can't run. Dylan played on 3 college teams, 6 years and never pressured. He had great offensive line. Shador has no online in Colorado, just like the Browns have no online. Who you trust at quarterback? Shador is tested. You already know how I feel. Hey, you don't have to tell me his resume. I would have been playing Shador from Jump Street. You ain't got to tell me. Forecast 9526. Grant Delpit changed the momentum for this team MVP. I got to give him MVP. 420 Jinxes and Miles have helpers. I think he has some. For the first time, I think you can classify that as help. Sapper Daddy says player to game is Delpit. Mr. Miami says it's time for him to sit down with the 1. Get him up out of here. Jamar Lindsay. Both rookies will be out of there after week 6. Or they will be out there after week 6. There you go. 1, that means it's time to go. Time to go, Joe. It's another one. Darian Rucker. Yay, 2 weeks late. Aunt Bev, my real Aunt Beverly, you're going to go with Denzel Ward as the MVP. I appreciate you. Shout out to Uncle Michael. By the way, look, I'll give you a quick, listen. One of the reasons people say, why did you choose the barbershop? See, back in the day, my uncles used to own these barbershops, Priority here in Canton, Ohio. And the greatest thing about them was there was people that came in from all over the state of Ohio to get these haircuts. They were so deep that you needed to be out there at like 4 o'clock in the morning. And you still never could beat none of the old heads. The old heads, and Vernon was getting there. Vernon Johnson was getting there. It was 5 o'clock. I'm like, dang, you got to be here at 5 to get a cut? It was wild. But the cool thing was people used to post up there, drink coffee, eat donuts, listen to 90s R&B. But it was the best sports talk and the best conversation in the game. Back then, you had to be saying something. If you wasn't saying something in the barbershop, you was out of here. They might give you an opportunity to let you talk, but if you talk one time and they mess with you, you're good for life. So I said, that's where I want to go. I want my show to be like that. I want to talk like that. So I named it The Barbershop. TM Allen MVP, ones. Mark Hicks, ones. Cecily, ones. Ones. Mr. Man Brown Jr., Myles Garrett, defensive MVP. I agree. This win is going to put them on the bench even longer. Kev is not going young until he has to. You are correct, Mr. Dorsey. I'm afraid you are correct in that. This win is going to get, I think this win gives Joe Flacco a way more longer leash because as I explained, they're not going to do that. Well, the ones is Poetic Pen. What's up? Yeah. The ones, we ain't even got to keep doing this. The ones is just, I seen 1-2. I'm looking for 1-2. I seen 1-2 earlier. Other than that, it wasn't it. Whew. Soul Train, what's up, my guy? Defense would be crazy if the offense controlled time of possession. If this defense was like it is, Soul Train, and they could control time, they might win 8 games with this defense. 9 games. 9 games. Well, as we know, we appreciate y'all pulling up on us, man. As always, it's a great opportunity to get a Browns win, and that's what you want. You can't ask for much. Again, Cleveland Browns, 13-10 win, and I don't want to understate it. Nobody had them winning, including myself. The UCSS panel, nobody had them winning. But it just goes to show you, it's not about what other people think. It's not about that. It's about what you're going to do and proving it on the field. One more super chat. I think we got one coming on in. Oh, Ben Stefanski too. I think he's already benched. With that being said, you never know where Jeepers might show up. Radio, television, internet. But if you want the fresh cut on sports and the real take, the Barbershop is the place for you. As always, happy Browns victory. Make sure you're tuning in tomorrow to watch the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, Browns victory. The Kool-Aid Mafia gang, we are finally back. We are pouring the Kool-Aid tomorrow for the Browns win, especially given this win against the Packers. With that being said, have a great afternoon, the rest of your evening, and as always, go Browns.